So last tutorial we were asking what happens if the truck does not make it to the escape marker and gets destroyed. It just happens to be that this next objective is to actually capture a vehicle. And this objective includes a failure condition where players can actually accidentally destroy the truck, or if the truck gets destroyed by the enemy, they will have failed the mission. So it might look a bit complex, but it is essentially very, very simple. There are simply three triggers, one for the success, one for failure, and then one to wrap up the scenario at the end of it. So regardless of which trigger gets fired, if either of them get fired, this trigger will then check if it's a good ending or a bad ending and apply it accordingly. Let's get straight in and then create a simple objective. So we're going to steal a car, which will be a fuel truck. We're going to call this variable steal me. And we're going to throw down a trigger. This trigger we're going to set an owner, and the owner will be the truck. We need to set a radius on this trigger, and we're going to have when the owner is not present, as in when the truck has been stolen. Just going to expand that slightly because 5 is a bit too small. Okay, so when we drive the truck out of this zone, the trigger will fire. So we need to synchronize that with a task and a state, as we have done every single time before. Let's quickly get those all synced up. So steel truck. Leave all them as they are. So if we quickly preview that in game, we have an objective here, which is to steal the truck. We jump in the truck, we steal it, and we've completed the objective. Of course, there is a slight problem. The problem being that this trigger is set to only check when the owner is not present. And if we were to blow this truck up, the owner would definitely not be present. So we need to add a secondary condition onto this trigger. We're going to use and alive truck. So, it's called steal me, not, it's called, right, okay. Old habits. There we go. So, when the owner is not present and the truck is alive, then the success condition will fire. But if it happens to be that this truck is not alive, the not present condition will be satisfied, but obviously the truck will never be alive because it's been blown up. So we need to do another condition to handle that. And to do that, we simply put down another task state and another trigger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy those two because they are very, very similar. So our trigger will be where the owner is not present and not alive. Or we can just omit that entirely and just check where the truck has been killed or blown up in this case. So we can put a size on there, but because we're using this condition, it's irrelevant. So I'm just going to remove that just to clear up the view. And what we're going to do is we're going to synchronize this to the task. So now we have a success condition, and now we will have a failure condition. So if the truck gets blown up, the failure condition is triggered. However, if it makes it outside of the zone and it is alive, the success condition will be triggered. Now I don't actually have anything to blow this up at the moment, so if I do something fancy with the debug console, cursor object damage The truck has been destroyed, but our trigger is not fired. What have I done wrong? Have I put kill me instead of steal me? No. That's set to failed. Module position. So this task isn't firing. Why wouldn't it fire? I wonder if it needs to be a non-owner task. Let's just check this quickly. We can just copy the exact same. I reckon that must be what it is. Yes, okay, well, lesson learnt there. The fussiness of Arma's triggering. For some reason it doesn't like owner-only triggers being... it doesn't like owner-only triggers having a custom condition. So the point to note is that you always have to drop your own trigger and then use it accordingly. You can't just be lazy like me and copy your triggers. So now we've got a handle for success, we've got a handle for failure. Unfortunately, neither of these will end the objective for us. We could put an activation condition in each one of these. That would satisfy, but typically we might as well get the introduction onto checking if triggers are fired, which will be this third trigger here. So this third trigger will check for whether either of these are fired, and that is just simply trigger activated. Oops, activated. TR. I'm just going to copy that again. Now, I haven't actually named these triggers yet, so I'm going to have to go back and put these names in place. But when either of these has now been fired, this message will be displayed. Oh dear, what have I done? System chats, that's why. So I'm going to give these a name now. So that variable will be truck saved, and we will have truck dead. So now when either of these have been satisfied, our other trigger will fire itself, and we will get the ending trigger. So they've stolen the truck, and they get the ending message. And what we just want to do finally is just put in a condition there to give them an alternative depending on which trigger has been activated. Because we only have two choices, we can assume if one fires, the other will not have. So we're just going to check for the worst condition first, which will be this. So if trigger activated, then system chat. Bad ending, who cares about the spelling, else system chat, good ending. Close the brackets, there we go. So simple if condition, just to say if that trigger has been activated and it's the bad ending, they obviously get the bad ending message. Quickly playing that. And there we go. The task has been failed and they get the bad ending. That's pretty much all there is to the capturing scenario. We can have multiple conditions. Obviously, as you increase each choice, the amount of code you have to throw in at the end for the decision gets increasingly complex. We do have a few examples of those later on.